You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry ChillyBoy Chilson, and this is my list of the best films of 2024. Before we get into this countdown, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. So here we are at the end of another year in cinema, and what a year this turned out to be. I've heard all type of rhetoric from it was actually amazing to this was a really weak year, we're gonna have a horrible lineup at the Oscars, yada yada yada. For me, when I looked back at my Letterboxd, I saw over 160 films this year, and it turned out to be a pretty good year. Honestly, I had over 30 films that could have made it onto this list. So that's why I decided I had to continue in the vein of style of list that I've been doing over the past several years. So instead of just doing a top 10 movies of the year, I'm going to give you my top 24 movies of 2024. Now, of course, the caveats, while I did see over 160 films this year, there were a lot more than that that were released. So inevitably, there were a lot of great films that I likely missed and didn't get the opportunity to watch. I didn't see them all, so they all can't be included. And also, it's just my own personal list. How I enjoyed these films, which films spoke to me the most in 2024. So there are a few Oscar darlings, some films that are likely going to sweep up at the Oscars that are not on my list. Sorry, not sorry. This is just what spoke to me. So with all that out of the way, let's cut the chit chat because we have 24 films to get through. So let's dive in to the countdown. Kicking us off in the 24th position, I have the directorial debut from Dev Patel, Monkey Man. I loved this. I loved the blend of just pure raw action, the style that he brought to this film, mixed in with some really powerful messaging. On top of all of that, Dev gives a fantastic on-screen performance to give us a very impressive debut feature. Coming in at 23, I have Gladiator 2. Now, I know people were really divided and mixed on this film. I, however, found it to be a very good follow-up to Gladiator with some stellar performances, Denzel Washington being the obvious and clear standout. Beautiful production, amazing costuming, and that grand epic scale action you come to know and love director Ridley Scott for. A full stop entertaining legacy sequel. Coming in at number 22, we jump from a sequel to a prequel with Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. When this was announced and Anya Taylor-Joy was cast as young Furiosa, well, I was very nervous. Thankfully, George Miller put all of those nerves to rest with one of the most kick-ass films of 2024. Now, while it doesn't come really close to Fury Road for me, it is a stylized, awesome story that adds to the lore of this amazing character. Anya Taylor-Joy gives a wonderful performance, but this is the Chris Hemsworth show here. Coming in at number 21, I have Smile 2. Oh my gosh, what a gut punch of a film, huh? I was absolutely gobsmacked leaving this theater, just filled with dread and despair, led by an absolutely stellar leading performance from Naomi Scott. Smile 2 takes everything the first Smile does well and ramps it up to an 11. Now all that's left is finding a way to get Naomi Scott to do an actual Sky Riley performance, the one that damn entity robbed us of. Kicking off the top 20, I have The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Knowing nearly nothing about this heading into my viewing, I was gobsmacked watching. The way that it beautifully weaves the oppression within a household into the greater narrative of the oppression of a nation was so wonderfully done. Then you find out that it was all made in secret. And the Iranian government was trying to get the filmmaker thrown in jail for speaking out about these topics. We have real life footage thrown in here with a powerful narrative that does go a little wayward in the third act, but ultimately still a highly impactful viewing experience. Again, at 19, I have The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Getting a sequel not directed by Matt Reeves, set so long after the Caesar trilogy, sounded like a recipe for a letdown to me personally. However, I adored this sequel. I thought they got the heart right here with these new characters. The actual ideology underneath of it all works really, really well. The VFX, once again, are stunning. And honestly, it was a perfect reintroduction to this world to get us ready for a new set of stories. Coming in at number 18, I have Conclave. A whirlwind of a Catholic drama as we try to elect a new pope. Conclave was way more entertaining than it had any right to be, thanks to this wonderful script and these stellar performances across the board. I do think some of the decisions are a little bit like melodrama. They take a bit too hard of a right turn. But this thing is filled to the brim with some of the best technical filmmaking of 2024. Once again, Berger leans heavily on that amazing original score to give emotion to the gravitas, and I was highly entertained with this Pope melodrama. At number 17, I have Thelma. June Squibb, the legend that you are, finally getting a lead role in a major motion picture. You love to see it. As somebody who was raised and is still very, very close to my grandma, this was a film literally made right for me. It spoke to me on every level. It hit me in all of my feels. It was a very personal viewing experience for me as I watched this in the theater, sitting right next to my grandma. Plus, everything to do with ageism and autonomy was fabulous. Just a really fun and poignant adventure. At number 16, I have Problemista, another film that is pretty tied to me on a more personal level, seeing as we're following around a queer Latino boy. But I loved the messaging behind immigration in the United States. Obviously, that's a huge hot button topic now, and well, everything in this film probably is going to look easy compared to what we're going to have here shortly. But just showing the loopholes that you have to go through as a legal immigrant in the US, all told through working with quite the problemista of a white woman. Fantastic performances from Julio Torres and Tilda Swinton, some inventive filmmaking techniques, one of the most unique films I saw in 2024, and one of the most poignant. Kicking off the top 15, I have The Last Showgirl. I loved this small story about a woman trying to re-identify herself as the job she's known for all her adult life is being taken away from her. Her entire identity is lumped into being a performer at this Vegas club, and now she kind of has to reconcile with the fact that it's closing. I think once again, we all can kind of relate to that aimlessness, that feeling of, who am I? And that's really heavily what this film does, all told beautifully through this amazing lead performance from Pamela Anderson. Honestly, the entire cast is great, but Pamela is a revelation once more here. The costumes are wonderful. The filmmaking is stunning. This one hit home in many unexpected ways. At the 14th position, I have Sing Sing. Now, this was such an interesting watch about inmates at Sing Sing and this rehabilitative program through art. And I loved that messaging of the healing power of art, of letting people find a new way to express themselves. People that never even thought about it, that never would be a part of something like this, identifying with this group and finding a newfound purpose through art in the darkest of times at the darkest of places. Coleman Domingo leads this cast in an earnest, beautiful, heartfelt leading performance, and this amazing supporting cast made up of non-professional actors, but folks who had been through that program. Oh, I loved it. It speaks not only to artistry, but to our humanity and that process of healing. So at number 13, I have Queer. Very few films left me as emotionally impacted by the end as Queer did. The ending, the epilogue of this film specifically, absolutely floored me, and I couldn't get it off my mind for days after viewing it. Daniel Craig is absolutely exquisite in this film, exploring this really deep character. I think Drew Starkey is wonderful in a much more distant character that we're meant to long after. The cinematography is stunning. The direction by Luca Guadagnino is amazing. The original score is fantastic. And that editing, the more fantastical elements of the editing and what they mean, oh, it was just so expertly crafted. If it weren't for the whole Leslie Manville character and a lot of that stuff in that rainforest, this easily would have broken my top 10, maybe even my top 5. But as it stands, it is still one of the most impactful films for me personally in 2024. Coming in at number 12, I have Black Dog. Now, this is a Chinese film that I saw at the Denver Film Festival knowing very little about and was gobsmacked by. A film depicting China kind of overrun by these stray dogs leading up to the Beijing Olympics. More importantly, it's about this connection between this man and this black dog. Two creatures that are highly misunderstood, two outcasts just trying to make their way here, and this beautiful connection of showcasing how behavior is highly constructed by the way you're treated. And I thought the parallel between the dog and the ex-prisoner that we follow was so well handled. By the end, I was a complete mess watching this thing in the theater. The cinematography is stunning. I thought the score was fantastic. The soundtrack was great. The acting is amazing. There's actually not that much dialogue specifically from our lead character, but he does such an amazing job with the performance. The dog is fantastic, and those messages, they hit really well. Coming in at number 11, just barely and painstakingly missing out on my personal top 10 of 2024, I have Maria. Now, this one has definitely been divisive amongst folks, but wow, Pablo Larraín just does it for me. His way of telling women's stories is stellar and beautiful with so much empathy and delicacy. And he does it yet again here with Maria Kahlo. The cinematography is absolutely breathtaking in this film. Angelina Jolie delivers a career performance as our titular character. Oh, she breaks your heart, and that final scene specifically, I was floored. The singing moments are amazing. The little bits and sprinkles of humor throughout worked so well for me. The set designs and costumes were fabulous. Our supporting actors were also fantastic. Honestly, I didn't know much about Maria heading into this film, but this turned out to be such a beautifully transcendent experience for me, and I'm so thankful I got to experience Maria in the theater. So, kicking off my personal top 10 films of the year, at number 10, I have Flow. This little indie animated film not only charmed me, it really took me to another plane. Who would have thought a film about a little gang of animals who don't speak, who are just trying to survive and find themselves in a new pack, if you will, would be this emotionally poignant? The animation style is stunning. I appreciate that they dared to give us a film, an animated film with no spoken words. And then we get these wonderful moments of almost existentialism when we're taken out of the reality that's been set forth. But it works so well in conveying the messages and emotional moments of the movie. I'm happy to see that a lot of awards bodies are going with the flow this season, and this one didn't just trickle down the well of what should have been. Coming in at number 9, I have Nosferatu. Oh, when you give me a good, delicious gothic horror film, yeah, it's probably gonna make my top 10. And Nosferatu delivers just that. One of the most breathtakingly stunning films of 2024. The cinematography in this thing is absolutely gorgeous. Robert Eggers' style is perfect for this story, paired well with this fantastic script of desire and really taking us back to the origins of Dracula and vampire stories. Because that's kind of what the allegory is all about when it comes to vampires. Being a fan of Interview with the Vampire, the series, I'm all on board with make vampires horny again. The leading performances are fantastic, the imagery is haunting, the production design and costumes are gorgeous and lavish, and that original score just chilled me to the bone. Coming in at number 8, I have Inside Out 2. So much like the other sequels and prequels that have been spoken about on this list, I don't think Inside Out 2 reaches the masterful levels of Inside Out. I think it's a darn close follow-up to that film. Adding in anxiety was the perfect choice for Inside Out 2 because it instantly became so relatable to so many of us in the target age group, in this target demographic, as well as kids the age of Riley. The animation is once more stunning with some heavily emotional moments throughout. The comedy works really well. All of the new characters blended with our old characters work wonderfully as well. Once more, the original score is beautiful. I honestly don't know how you could have given us a much better sequel to Inside Out than this. Flying in at number 7, I have Wicked. What can I say? I loved it. I absolutely loved Wicked, one of my favorite in-theater viewing experiences of the year. I've seen it 3 times in the movie theater at time of recording. The production design is fantastic. The costumes are great. Our acting performances, particularly from Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, and Jonathan Bailey, are top tier. Obviously, the singing is on a whole another level. I thought the musical set pieces were great. The adaptation of the stage play is so beautifully faithful but adapted to the screen. For a film that's over 2.5 hours long and only a part one, I had no issues with the pacing. It had some of the most electrifying set pieces and moments in film for 2024. I couldn't give a damn about a backlighting that y'all are so hooked on. Not when the songs are this well done, when the numbers are this much fun, and the emotional core at the center of this story rings true, like it does here with Wicked. I'm ready to defy gravity, and I cannot wait to get Wicked for good in less than a year. At number 6, I have The Substance. Oh my gosh. Talk about the most insane viewing experience I had in 2024. The best horror film of the year for me. Now, on first viewing of this film, there was a moment about midway through where I was like, okay, where are we headed from here? Because I'm not sure I'm fully on board where we're taking things. They went in a completely different direction that completely blew me away. I know some people think the third act goes a little bit too crazy. No, no, no. It goes crazy enough. It goes where it needs to go in that third act for me. The body horror is gnarly and gruesome. It blends in these like camp factors in that third act specifically beautifully well into actually very harrowing body horror in insane ways. Demi Moore is fantastic. Margaret Qualley is also great here. And truthfully, this film left me horrified on levels that no other horror film could achieve. Partially because it's speaking to real life horrors. More so than the gnarly imagery or the body horror, the gruesomeness of what we see on the screen. It's the actual message of this film that had me leaving sad and distraught. And even though it's about as subtle as a sledgehammer to the head, the messaging here, the point it's getting across, is highly effective and beautifully communicated through one of the most batshit crazy films of 2024. So, kicking off my top 5 movies of 2024, serving up spot number 5, I have Challengers. Yep, both of Luca Guadagnino's films made my list. Challengers is just that girl. She has stuck with me since I saw her back in April. I had such a good time watching this film. And of course, I'm already a tennis fan, so you knew I was on board. Of course, it's Luca Guadagnino. So the cinematography is stunning. The score is stunning. All of his usual collaborators are back to give us all the technical aspects we love. The editing is absolutely crazy in Challengers in all the best, most innovative ways possible. And it all centers around this love triangle, Zendaya and her little white twink, all three of whom give fantastic performances. It's messy, it's dramatic, it's exciting, it's exhilarating, and it all leads off with this absolutely and it all ends off with this exhilarating final match. And the final scene, mwah, chef's kiss. Challengers gave me just about everything I wanted heading into that movie theater, and maybe could have been number 1 if it was just a bit more explicitly gay. So flying in at number 4, I have The Wild Robot. If you watched my animated films of 2024 list, yeah, this was my favorite animated film of the year. DreamWorks nailed it when it came to The Wild Robot. Our voice cast is fantastic from top to bottom. The characters here are so beautifully fleshed out and realized. The connection between our robot and our duckling is perfect, and it plays out so well. This idea of community, the ideas of the messaging of environmentalism, the messaging of being an outsider, all of those are handled perfectly. And it's all brought to life with this stunning style of animation that mimics painting and drawn art in such a uniquely beautiful way. Add to that this stellar original score, and you get some of the most impactful, emotionally moving moments in all of cinema 2024. So, kicking off the top 3, at number 3, I have National Anthem. This film just really spoke to me. This is a smaller, independent film about the gay rodeo and specifically a young man who is just trying to find his people. And for our main character, it's not even about sexuality. It's not even about identifying under the queer umbrella. It's literally about finding your people, finding a group of people who you vibe with, who accept you, who allow you to open doors that you've never opened before and truly explore yourself. I loved the relationship between our main character and his little brother. I thought the romance at the center of our relationship was really well handled. All of these queer characters out on this ranch are well handled as well. There is this little like side relationship drama that I didn't love quite as much, and the mother character here gets off the hook a little bit too easily. That's what I'll say there. So I did have gripes with the narrative itself, but this is one of those movies where the vibes and the emotions and the perfect way the coming of age is handled swept me up to the point where I didn't really care about the misgivings I had with the narrative specifically. Charlie Plummer is great in this film. Once again, the cinematography is gorgeous. The editing is fantastic. The music is beautiful. If you allow yourself to be immersed into this film, it is a ride unlike any other I took in 2024. So coming in at number two, I have The Animal Kingdom. So this low-key was a confusing film for me because I saw it last year at the 2023 Denver Film Festival. It got released kind of in France in 2023. However, it never premiered in the United States until 2024. It got a very small theatrical release and also like a VOD release in March. So if you've been watching and you watched my 2023 best of list, you'll know I mentioned this as an honorable mention because I didn't know where to put it. But it ended up landing here on my 2024 list proper, and I have not been able to stop thinking about this film since I saw it last year. It is now on Hulu. So please give this movie a chance and watch it on Hulu. And I decided it's going on 2024, and yeah, it's still one of my favorite movies, whether I put it in 2023, 2024. It's one that really, really connected with me. Now, as a vegan animal lover, obviously a movie about the treatment of animals was going to speak to me as somebody in the queer community, a film about growing into a new identity and being an outsider, being outcast and prejudiced, and the prejudice of being different was going to speak to me. And this film kind of blended all of that. The story of this boy coming into this new identity in this fantasy world really was touching and moving. The performances here are fantastic from everyone involved. The connection between father and son and that love there was amazing, leading up to this final scene that just choked me up every time I've watched it. The practical mixed with visual effects here, oh my gosh. Breathtaking, breathtaking prosthetic work done on these people. The score is gorgeous. The cinematography is beautiful. I've seen some criticize that the themes or the ideas aren't new, but I think the way that we explore them here is really something special. This is a film I've been championing, a film I have not been able to stop thinking about, literally, since I saw it November 2023. I love The Animal Kingdom from France. So before I unveil my number one pick, my favorite film of 2024, yes, I'm going to give some shout outs to other films that just barely missed the list. I know, 24 movies on your list and you're still doing honorable mentions? It's my channel, so yes, I am. Your Monster and Lisa Frankenstein were two horror comedies about a kind of weird, macabre girl falling in love with a literal monster. Both very effective. I love them both and wish they could have had a place on my list. Alien Romulus was one of the most exciting experiences I had in a theater this year, with literally one of my favorite sequences in all of cinema 2023. Yeah, that floating acid sequence. Well, Memoir of a Snail was a wonderfully macabre film that spoke to me on so many different levels. And then Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, was one of the most charming, beautiful animated films I saw in 2024. Femme absolutely blew me away with one of the most intense endings I've seen in cinema in 2024. And then finally, Sebastian, another film I know has people divided. I certainly loved it. I thought the cinematography was beautiful. I thought the exploration of this kid's life was really well handled and also kind of had me on the edge of my seat as he was navigating life. So coming in at number one, my pick for the best film of 2024 is Dune Part 2. If you know me, this probably should not have been a surprise. I absolutely adored the first Dune film from Denis Villeneuve, and he delivered a follow-up that is just as good, if not even maybe a little bit better than that first film. Talk about epic blockbuster sci-fi filmmaking done literally perfectly. Cinematography, stunning. Score, stellar. Acting performances, amazing. If it were up to me, this is the performance Timothy Chalamet would be up for in the awards conversation because he is amazing, amazing as Paul Atreides. Zendaya is fantastic in this film. Rebecca Ferguson, oh my gosh, Javier Bardem, everyone is so good. And then we have Austin Butler, who blew my mind with his performance here. The visual effects are perfection. The scale is so huge, grand, and otherworldly. This is what we want when you're taking us to another universe. Dune Part 2 boasts several of the best single scenes in all of 2024. When I tell you my jaw was literally on the floor and I was at the very edge of my seat watching that first worm ride in the theater. Oh my gosh. No joke. That is like a life-changing type of experience in a theater. In the fact that it can completely alter your viewing of film in theaters. That's how exhilarating and perfectly done it was. The story obviously is fantastic. It takes you on a journey and leaves you with this ambiguous hero, a main character who goes down a path that we maybe don't even want to follow. It's complex, it's deep, it's layered, it's stunning. Honestly, Dune Part 2 is perfect. And that is why it has remained at my number one position literally from the moment I saw it. Watched it 3 times in movie theaters, have seen it again since, and it has remained as my choice for the best film of 2024. So that was my list of the best films from 2024. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. We're heading into 2025, so a whole new crop of films is just around the horizon, and you're not going to want to miss any of it. But most importantly, I want to hear your lists. What were your favorite films from 2024? Leave those rankings either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up over on BlueSky. I love you all so much for your continued support. Mwah. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.